Hi, my name is Luigi Gonzalez, and my husband loves my husband's lover.
Hi, I'm Vid Harper, and I love my husband's lover. Hello, and welcome to episode 3. If you're watching on the DVD, you're on chapter 3. If you're watching on YouTube, you're watching episode 2, starting about 33 minutes in, and then go to episode 3 and stop around 9 minutes in. I don't know why they had to do it this way. It's so ridiculous.
I know.
But it is what it is. While gearing up for this episode, you went into the office to go over your notes, and I was upstairs rocking out to TomDen.
So, by the way, I heard you. I heard you all the way down here. I was like, what the fuck is he doing up there?
For those of you who don't know, TomDen is a hybrid of Tom Rodriguez
and Dennis Trillo.
And it's an album they did together connected to this series.
Yes. And, I will say, in a lot of cases, when they do like musical tie-ins to TV shows in the Philippines, the singers are not always good. Now, in this case, they are both really good singers, and actually, like, hearing it from down here, their voices do blend well.
True.
Yeah.
That being said, I love TomDen.
Yeah.
I have a lot of...
You have a lot of questions.
Well,
is one of these questions the fact that they do not touch each other in the music video?
Yeah, there's one music video. Not only do they not touch each other, I don't even think they look at each other.
Yeah. So keep in mind, as groundbreaking as this show was, it also came out during the time of No Homo. And No Homo was very like, I'm going to use Filipino vernacular. Pare, I love you, but I'm not, but not in that way. Pare is like, dude. That's your word of the day.
Okay, so we got aling. What was last one? What was last week's?
Lalaki?
Lalaki.
Yeah.
And
pare.
Pare.
I love that. I mean, so far we're just on episode 3. I love that it's all gender.
Yeah, well,
it's all gendered. It's
fitting. Aside from the No Homo music video, the album is a bit of a head scratcher. First of all, I don't want to sound... I'm trying really hard not to sound mean, because I do love that the album exists. But it feels very rushed. It's 8 tracks, and they only sing together in 2 of them. So it's barely a TomDen album. It's just 2 TomDen songs, and then 3 songs from Tom, 3 songs from Dennis. The other question I have... And again, I do like that this album exists, but who the hell is this for? Because it doesn't feel like it's for the gays. It's a gay love album by 2 straight dudes singing songs that I don't think any gays would like.
Okay. So, celebrity culture is very much alive and well in the Philippines. This is not necessarily for the gays in general. The higher priority for them, market-wise, I feel, is fans of Dennis and the new growing fan base of Tom Rodriguez.
Yeah, because if there's one thing that I find a little disappointing about the album is I know in Filipino culture, sappy songs are alive and well. Mm-hmm. But even in the Philippines, the gays love a good up-tempo pop song, and there is none of that in this album. It is all piano.
So that's the thing with Filipinos. Bops are secondary to, I guess, what we call the birit tracks.
The Beat It tracks?
No, B-I-R-I-T. So birit, like the closest thing I can come up to in English is belt.
Oh.
Like you've seen this. Like, I don't want to say most, but like the ones that sell the most. Mainstream. They are the power ballads.
Yeah.
And like the most prominent songwriters in the Philippines are the ones who do like that kind of music. This is the kind of music that Kuladesma does. Yes. This is that genre of woman in a floor-length gown and a mic. Not to say that we don't have bops. We do. It just takes a back seat because the power ballads are more universal.
Okay. Well, I hear you.
Yeah.
But I stand by what I said. There needed to be
more bops.
There needed to be a bad romance in it.
There needed to be a Dancing on My Own, at least. I feel like if there was a dancey pop song that also tugged at your heartstrings, that would be like the sweet spot.
Like a Natalie Imbruglia Torn or something.
Oh, yeah.
That was my stomach. I'm sorry. Just talking about them gives me butterflies.
Oh,
Episode 3. So where we left off last episode, Lolly knocked over a picture, and hidden inside the picture was a Polaroid of someone named Eric. She holds up the Polaroid and says, "Who's Eric?" Fade out. And I just realized watching this episode, the picture was right by his bed. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've seen this a couple of times. I didn't catch that.
So remind me, is the framed photo of him and Lolly?
I don't remember. Who cares? I don't care who's. I don't care.
No, but it's symbolism.
I don't know. You know what? Hold on. Give me 2 seconds and I will give you an answer. Okay, here we go. Let me see. So far, you don't see the photo.
Oh.
I'm going to see if they show it in episode 3. I don't believe we ever see what the photo is.
Okay. She does, and this is like denial is very strong with her. She makes the excuse for him. She was like, the maid must have put it back here and she didn't know what to do with it.
Earlier that day, she's trying to save an omelet because she doesn't want to waste food. Now she's blaming the staff for things.
she's learning so much from Elaine.
So Vince says it's just a picture of an old friend from high school and is confused with why it's in the picture frame. So they go on with their night. Meanwhile, Evelyn is stuck in traffic with her husband or boyfriend. They never really say if they're her kuya. They're in a terrible traffic jam due to a bad accident. For some reason, they're told that there is a fatality in this accident.
Yeah.
For some reason, Evelyn thinks that the fatality is Sandra.
Oh, because of the bus. It's a bus.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, sure, whatever. So she starts freaking out. She jumps out of the car, runs to the accident, and begs the officer to look at the dead body. They pull the sheet down. It's not Sandra, which she's relieved. Which I just have to say, this is a good example of why I don't like Sandra. Look at what she's doing to her daughter. Her daughter is now looking at mutilated dead bodies on the side of the road because she thinks it could be her mother. This is what you're doing, Sandra. You suck. Anyways, so you have a point you want to make about the actual set of this scene.
Yeah, because they don't really do this shot for a majority of the show. Like there are only certain places where they can get a little more creative with a little more dynamic.
Because this was clearly a set. They did not shoot on a street.
They did shoot on a street.
Are you sure this looked like a set? Oh, for God's sake.
No, let's play it again.
Okay.
That's a street.
That's a real street?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. In this scene, they have to have they're showing a bus crash. So I feel like in the spirit of like, this is going to be a very expensive scene, we have to like up the drama, give it a lot of moving parts. There's a crane shot. There's a shot where Evelyn like has to step out of the car and runs to the site of the crash, and then give her like maybe like a minute to like look at the bodies and like cry, like and give her a moment to be dramatic when she finds out that it's not Evelyn. They even gave like a featured extra, like a comedic punch, because really it feels like it's all for nothing. Like I cried all those tears for nothing. They end it with a punch, which is she thanks the cop for like letting her see the body. He never gave her permission to like touch the body. So he was like, There are people that are dead, and you're thanking me. You really are something, lady.
Well, she's a chip off the old block.
Yeah.
No, I like Evelyn much more than Sandra.
Evelyn, as a hot mess as she is, there is something very compelling with her story. I also prefer her over Lolly. But I don't hate Lolly as much as you.
We haven't gotten to, like...
The hateful stuff?
Yeah.
Well,
so it
yeah.
does feel like I just hate her. Anyways. After Evelyn breathes a sigh of relief that the dead body is not her mother, she goes into labor.
As one does, this is...
This is a soap.
This is a soap. Which I feel like is your line.
Well, you know, hey.
In a traffic jam?
Doesn't stress cause people to go into labor? It can happen. If being pregnant can alter someone's taste buds, being stressed can cause someone's water to break.
Yeah. I don't find anything weird with that, per se. You got to keep heightening the drama. Of course, her water's going to break.
Yeah, the second I saw a traffic jam, I knew she was going to go into labor.
Yeah.
In the next scene, Vince and Lolly are in bed. Lolly is asleep. Vince takes the photo, tiptoes into the bathroom, sits on the toilet, and begins reminiscing about Eric.
You're forgetting one detail.
What?
He puts on a shirt. He puts on a shirt to go to the bathroom. He puts on a shirt to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night.
That must have been a censors thing.
Maybe, like you can only show you've gotten your one nipple of the episode, and that was when he was roused awake.
Yeah, when I see weird things like that, I feel like it has to be a censors
Yeah.
thing. There's a soap in the UK called Hollyoaks, and that soap is known for having a lot of LGBTQIA characters. I remember when I was watching episodes back in, 2010, 2011, that era, every time they showed two guys in bed, one had a shirt on. And it was every single time. And I just assumed that was a censors thing. Like they couldn't show two men both shirtless in bed. So it's probably something stupid like that as a censors thing.
Oh, yeah. There are a lot of unspoken rules that like when you find them out, they're so dumb. Like why? Like in PG-13 films in America, you can only say the F word once.
Which is like, you've already said it. The shirt thing I don't have a problem with. What I do have a problem with this scene is having him reminisce about Eric while sitting on the toilet. Let's make this clear. He's not using the toilet. He's just...
using it as a chair. Yes.
Put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we flash back to a high school basketball game. Vince takes the picture of Eric, and it's very obvious to us that there is chemistry between these two friends.
Mm-hmm. And their jerseys say Tigers. There's not even a picture of a tiger. It just says Tigers.
Then at a house party, Vince sees Eric with girls and gets jealous. So he goes outside and starts talking to a girl.
Props to them for making a really believable looking house party.
Yeah.
Because when I would see stuff like this, not just in Filipino things, when they have a house party, it's either too small or too big. This was like the exact amount of people. There are people who don't know where to sit and just like are just nursing a bottle of beer.
Yeah.
And like, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, this dining room was not meant for 20 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So jealous Vincent goes outside and starts talking to a girl. Eric sees this and he gets jealous.
Oh, by the way, Eric, who is drinking a Cosmo, which to the props person, mwah, chef's kiss.
So he gets jealous at the sight of Vince talking to a girl.
Yeah, and he turns to one of the extras and like, hold my Cosmo, and then grabs, what is it, a bottle of brandy, and just chugs.
He downs this amount of alcohol and instantly gets sick. Vincent runs to Eric, and Eric vomits all over him. Like, all over him.
And it looks like Eric had a lot of oatmeal.
So Vince is passed out. Eric takes Vince home, lays him on the couch. He takes off his shirt, which is covered in Eric's vomit. And then he kneels down to Eric, who still has chunks of vomit on his mouth.
They make you know that he knows this too, because what does he do?
He wipes not all, some of the vomit off Eric's mouth, and then hesitates, wanting to kiss him.
Yeah, he leans in for a kiss, which, for a multitude of reasons, don't do it. Don't do it for reasons of consent. Don't do it for reasons that...
Sanitary reasons?
Like, if you kiss him, you will know what it's like to be in a barf bag.
Another reason why not to kiss him. Kula Desma is singing One More Try again.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Again, what a way to kill a romantic scene by having your mother sing the love song. So this is one of the reasons why it can be better to watch it on YouTube, because it's...
Jonalyn Virai.
Yeah. So the next day, Vince hits the gym and takes out his sexual frustration on a punching bag. His dad's there and assumes this is because of girl trouble.
Yeah, like, what's her name? Is she hot? What do you care, old man? Anyway, go on.
Then his dad spots two men in the gym who are possibly queer and, like at the golf course, loses his mind. I'm not gonna, okay. I don't exactly have a problem with it, except for the fact that it just seems like he bumps into queer people way too often.
Yeah.
At school, Vince ignores Eric, then goes to church and tries to pray the gay away. While he's praying the gay away, Eric continues to call Vince, but Vince ignores the calls.
And like, Vince, decorum, silence your phone at the...
It's just him in the church. It's fine. So he ignores Eric's calls. Then one day at school, he notices Eric is absent. Vincent is informed that he's in the hospital. Vincent arrives at the hospital. Eric is unconscious. Eric's mom tells Vince this is because he's been ignoring Eric.
Yeah. And like, Eric's mom, we should all have a mom like Eric's. Maybe this is due to the fact that she is an artist. She's a liberal. She's a progressive thinker. Her son, her gay son, can like tell her anything.
Yes.
And so she looks at Vince and says like this is because of you. You think he doesn't tell me anything? I know what you are to him. Like, stop playing with my son.
Yeah. Did you catch that he was in the hospital because he tried to kill himself?
When I heard overdose, yeah.
Did they say overdose in the episode? Because I never caught that. They just said he's in the hospital. Oh my God. Oh, he does say it.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I was going to say that I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
He's in the hospital due to an overdose because of Vincent.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you.
Yes.
Has there ever been a boy? Would you ever have done this to yourself for a boy?
Yes and no. Okay, so that's actually a really complicated, long-winded answer.
Okay.
Let me see how I can condense this, because that's the short answer is no. Mm-hmm. The long answer is I can specifically think about one. I could think of one person I fell for many, many, many years ago when I was a little older than these characters, probably my early 20s. Mm-hmm. And it was the worst heartache I have ever felt. And in hindsight, it was most of the time I have been heartbroken over a guy. It wasn't because of the guy per se. It was, I felt like I for once had a connection.
Oh.
And I kind of touched on this in the last episode where we're talking about Dave and how, even though, like you were saying, Dave can do better, and it's obvious that Dave can do better. I can't speak for all gay people, but growing up gay in a straight world can feel unbelievably isolating, especially when you're in your bubble of like a small town or your community or your school. Because I mean, even I grew up in the suburbs of Los Angeles, and even then in high school, there were possibly 2 queer people that people knew about in school. And, you know, that's it. But so I grew up feeling completely different from my friends, my classmates, even my coworkers into my early adult life. We didn't have the same interests. We didn't have the same hobbies. And so when you meet someone who can also name Madonna's third album or, knows what you're talking about when you mention that niche TV show that you've never met anyone else that's heard of, you feel like, oh my God, this is the connection. This is, there is someone out there for me. And then it's not reciprocated. It is the most heartbreaking feeling because it's not just someone doesn't like you back. It's that one person that got you.
Yeah.
So have I ever tried to myself over a guy? No. Could I see it happening at that stage in my life? Yes, because there was a point in my life where I felt extremely isolated. And keep in mind, the internet wasn't what it's like today. Mm-hmm. There was no way to meet people with common interests back then. I mean, it was different. So that's why I, not to go too much into the last episode, I understand where Dave's coming from. I understand where Eric's coming from. I understand where Vince is coming from because they probably feel that, the show isn't diving deep into this, but I can see it. It's the first time they feel
a connection
that most straight people take for granted.
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
To answer my own question, I want to credit my support system growing up, like my family, my friends. From what I've seen with them, like never hurt yourself over another man, over another woman. Like you will move on, another will come. I will say the unaliving of myself, I have thought about that, but not in terms of a man, not in terms of someone I fell in love with. It's more of like the bullying or like not even the bullying, like it's teasing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The teasing, because for a person I fell in love with, I can always fall back on my support system for that. The teasing, a lot of that comes from
friends,
the support system itself. So, yeah.
I think oftentimes in media, people project their own life experiences onto a character. So again, when I see this, I don't think Eric has lost the love of his life. It's that Eric has lost the feeling of belonging.
You really feel for Eric.
Yeah. Now, it might not be true because he has a very supportive mother, although I had a very supportive mother. So I don't know. It's hard to explain because I did have a supportive mother. Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways, she was supportive in ways that most parents weren't. Like she actually found like a teen LGBT support group for me.
Really?
Yeah. This is like 2002, 2003.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was a very small group and I don't remember like fitting in. Just because you're gay doesn't mean you instantly connect with another gay person.
Yeah.
Just like not all straight people connect. So it's 10 times harder because you've only got like a small niche amount of the population.
It's nicher.
So yeah, it wasn't till my mid to late 20s where I actually did not feel like an alien.
Yeah.
For a lack of a better term.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I know exactly where you're coming from. Not only am I gay, I am also darker skinned, which they always love to other in the Philippines. Which makes zero sense. Also, I'm left-handed. So, like, it feels like the world was not even, like, opening the door.
Yeah.
It feels like, or like writing in a notebook.
Yeah.
Feels like it, like, have you ever written in pencil, like, with your left hand? Once you reach the bottom of the page, like, it's all smudged because of your pinky. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do want to stress... it's such a cliche to say, but I swear it's true. It does get better. Most of my teen years and half my 20s, it was a very isolating experience. Yeah. Most people are lost in their 20s. I was so lost, I didn't even know where to begin because it was just so hard to connect with people. Yeah. I could never be around someone without, in one way, shape, or form, being reminded that I was different. And it took a long time for me to embrace those differences and actually use those differences to my advantage. So it does get better.
Yeah.
I don't know what the writers were thinking for this scene. I don't know the motive besides a dramatic tick, but it makes sense in Queer Youth.
Yeah.
So Eric comes to, and Vince is by his side. They fist bump. Let it go. I know. I love the fist bump. This is the first of many in this show.
Yeah.
He can't stand it. I love it. For the sake of time, let's save that tangent for when they do it the umpteenth time.
Yeah.
Vince breaks down, confesses his love for Eric. And again, this is all while Koo is playing One More Try. Yeah. It's a great scene, even with his mom singing. Now out of the hospital, they are BFFs again. They walk down the bay while all the girls laugh. I can't tell if they're laughing because it's two guys walking, or is it supposed to be them like, look, there they are, they're so cute.
I don't know.
It was a weird scene.
What I got from that was that, actually what I got from that was like, oh, look, it's Dennis Trillo. Let's say it is them fawning over two cute guys walking along the bay.
I'm going to say that too, just for the simple fact that Vince is at ease, and Vince would never be at ease at something like that.
And their hand, the only thing that they do in this scene is them brushing fingers.
Yeah. While at the movies, Eric pushes to meet Vince's parents.
What do you think they were watching?
I don't know, a shake, rattle, and roll. The next scene, they're playing basketball together. No homo. Eric's mother runs out, saying that Eric's father has been in a terrible accident. Eric and his mom have to leave the Philippines to be with Eric's father. I don't remember where they said his father is. I think it's America.
I think America.
But I can't remember. Anyway, they have to leave the Philippines. They're leaving the country.
Yeah.
Vince and Eric say goodbye.
One last sunset at the bay.
They hold hands. End of episode. Oh.
Aww.
I just want these two crazy kids to work out.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's time for
our favorite segment.
It's your favorite segment.
My favorite segment.
It's time for the husband's favorite segment.
Okay. This husband loves Eric's mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's such a, like, we all should be so lucky to have a mother like Eric's mom.
Yeah.
Who will stay by your side as you detox from an overdose. She will walk in on your almost first kiss and save you from a choice being taken away from you. Compared to Elaine, Mother of the Year.
Yes.
Yeah. And husband?
Okay. This is from my love of soaps, okay? I love that Vince ran to Eric in the hospital. Oh. He was by his side when he woke up.
Keep in mind, they're in high school, too. So
Yeah.
I don't think Vince had his own car. Probably told the driver, like, I don't care.
You know, there was a scene where, like, the nurse came in was like, visiting hours are over, and he was like, I'm not going anywhere or something. Like, oh,
or like, are you family? Like, yes. I'm family. All right.
Your turn.
This husband hates Armando at the gym because you don't know if those guys are gay. Like, they very well may be, like, an ass like that. But maybe he's just asking for form, or like maybe he's going like, oh, I think I pulled a muscle. Bad. And he sees that and almost pulls out a gun at them. I wouldn't be surprised if he brought his gun
to the gym.
Like, it's just he holsters it in his like drawstring shorts.
Yeah. And also, like, even in the world of soaps where the dramatics are super high, there's something a little too much about someone losing their every time they see two guys who aren't even confirmed to be queer. He just sees two guys and loses his. It's just.
Methinks the man protests too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a story there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. This husband hates Vince on the toilet. Things matter, people. When in film, like this should not be something that even is like something that has to be taught. Things matter. Having someone reminisce about a lost love while on the her is not aesthetically pleasing. I understand he needs to hide in the bathroom to reminisce about his old love, but there were so many other ways he could have done this. He could have
done it in the closet.
Well, no, I mean, that would have been weirder because in case she wakes up, because Lord knows he would ever get 2 seconds to himself with a wife like Lolly. Anyways, so I was in the bathroom. Yeah. Have him sit on the edge of the bathtub. Have him sit on the floor. Why does it have to be the toilet? Things matter. And when you have someone sitting on a toilet, that visually represents something that even if you don't understand film language, your mind's kind of going to go there. This is the moment. We've been waiting 3 freaking episodes. We're finally going to see the love of his life. And it's happening while he's sitting on a toilet.
Yeah. Very romantic.
Yeah. And while this is happening, the rest of the episode is flashbacks of his relationship with Eric. You're thinking in the back, or at least I am thinking in the back of my mind, he's doing this while sitting on a toilet, not a cold tiled bathroom floor, reminiscing about a lost love, or turning on the shower water. And, you know, that represents like tears or something.
I'm going to say something really terrible.
What?
Maybe that's how they imply that Vince is the bottom.
Oh!
He needs to pucker up a bit. All right. Next episode.
What happens with Eric? Because Eric left and now Vince is married. Where do we go from here?
Yeah. The one that got away.
Yeah. On that note, thank you all for joining. And please tune in next week
for episode 4. And babe.
Paalam po.
Aww.